Hey guys, I was sent the demo unit of the Osp Matrix. I figured I'd do a nice long video for you guys. Probably one of the best ballad songs that I've ever flipped ever. Some of the reasons for that is this awesome texture. I have heard some people, kind of take or leave this texture. I've heard people say it's too grippy. For me, it's awesome. You can do aerials and catch a ladder. You can ladder and really put G-force into it. Everything feels really nice and locked into your hand with this texture. And small things like this milling in the blade also matches up exactly with the handle. So, of course, this is a latchless knife, and you're looking down at the knife, you know exactly which side is going to cut you and which side isn't. So your safe handle is the one that you can see straight through. Everything on it is rounded and comfortable, including the tang area, including the pins. I did get pinched very lightly a couple times. It wasn't anything to even leave a mark. Maybe I was just choking up too close or what. I did get pinched a couple times, but that was no big deal. What I really like about it is the taper in both directions. Of course, it's tapered this way, like most ballad songs. I think only a couple aren't tapered in that direction, but it's also tapered this way. So it is thinner near the pivots and then widens out near the end, which is beautiful. I like a sort of thinner feel up here. It leaves manipulation really easy. Everything bends around the fingers really nicely. When you're getting into stuff like fast twirling and stuff, your fingers just move in and out really easily without having to move around a thicker knife. But then when you get to the bottom and you're spinning it in your hand and stuff like this, it's very easy to generate force because it's nice, big, and round down here. No hard edges. It spins in your hand very well. It fans very well. It feels just feels very natural with that double taper to it. Just with the fatter end. That's also keeping weight down there, keeping weight out of the top. The blade, I don't really care for this blade shape. That being said, God, does it perform really well. The weight balance to it, the big fat tip on there. All I know is this one flips insanely well as far as balance. You can't feel anything. There's no sharp edges in the back. The chaplains feel perfect. The tang area feels perfect. Like I said, if I didn't say already, about 4.5 ounces. You can compare the size to a rep. If you're not including the little 40 or the little angled cutoffs on the bottom, the handles are very similarly sized, but the blade is a bit longer. This OSP, well, I think is the same thickness. It just carries a lot of weight in that blade, which feels really good, and I think is why it can be slightly shorter than the rep blade and still be balanced extremely well. Definitely auto choker. In the air, it feels spectacular, and it's just fast. This knife is super fast, and I think that's because of the thinness around the pivot area. And I don't mean thin. I'm not talking like bare bones or anything like that. A knife that's almost too thin. This is just thinner than the rear of the knife. And it just feels really good. It feels really natural. I don't feel like I'm working around everything. Everything feels like it's comfortably between my fingers and I'm not working around it. I do not like how close these are. They will touch, but I do understand that on the 2019 models, that has been corrected. I know they've been widened out, and there is flex, but you have to press really hard for this to happen. So if it is widened just a bit, that will not happen, even if you're squeezing very hard. And I do like how round it is for rolling. And like I said, the texture is running sideways. It's like almost like a spiral. It's like a fingerprint right here. So when it's spinning this way, for a fan, you're working with the texture, so nothing's going to stop you in that way. It's only stopping you from coming off of the knife this way, which is beautiful. This is the knife fully assembled. I'm going to do some breakdowns, show you what's inside the handles, just show you some other things, all the time that's gone into places that you don't even see on this knife, and stay tuned. I definitely wanted to show the inside of the OSP Matrix. It's a huge deal. Some of these things, haven't been done on past ballad songs, and I really do think they are an improvement. All the milling on the inside of the handle, all these pockets milled out are for weight, to distribute the weight in a specific area. Um, Things like, instead of using a pin to keep your spacer still, it's milled into the handle. This spacer is awesome. Future weight plates to stack in the end if you like more weight in the ass. It's got grip on the sides for your ladders, or if you start working to the bottom of your handle, you can feel that, and gives you something to hold on to on both sides. You can see the super oversized bushing, and now this knife does run a floating washer system, so the washer goes around the bushing. So when this is put together, this fat little bushing sits right on the inside of the handle slab. And all that surface area there, I don't imagine that ever wearing a groove into your handle slab. The only expirable things are going to be your washers, which are basically nothing, and from what I'm told, the new 2019 models are going to have thicker washers, assuming it's going to put even more distance between the blade and the handle, so less risk of, rub or anything like that. With the setup that it has now, this thing's rock solid when it's tuned properly. There's barely any play at all, and I don't know if it's just the accuracy of the machining or what, but it's super, super smooth. There's no choppiness. Everything is right on point. T15 Torx, pretty cool looking screws too. Really fine threads, but nothing to worry about tuning wise, because these things go just fully tight and they're good to go. I know you can get them in stainless or titanium. He recommends titanium. Titanium's a little bit softer than the steel pivot tube here, so it kind of bites, the threads bite into it and holds them in place, so that works really well. I've experienced that on some of my knives that I've converted to titanium screws. The titanium is a bit softer, so it does want to lock into place, but everything here just seems to sync up and work really well together. When you crack this knife open, there's just so many things going on. Even the edges on the inside of the bushing hole are chamfered and rounded. Everything's rounded, everything's comfortable. The way the bite handle or the safe handle indicator lines up inside the handle, you'll see that when it's fully assembled. Everything just comes together really nicely. I would have liked to have had a few of the plates to throw in here just to feel. That would have been cool, just to throw a couple in there to see how that feature functioned. But as far as needing them, it felt absolutely great as is. All right, here's the handle assembled. Still off the knife, I have the bushing thrown in, so it is the thickness that it would be. And you can really see that taper going on there. And like I said, that's just keeping your hand natural. That's keeping you referenced on the knife. When you're up here, it's nice and thin for manipulation, but when you're down here, you can see just how nice and round everything is for when you're chokering or when you're fanning. Just in general, it spins in the hand really easily. You can also see, well, kind of see, how the texture, this knife is just radius. There's no flat on the top. So the texture wraps around to the side. So you know that we spend so much of our time flipping right here. Well, that texture wrapping around to the side does allow you for grip. You can feel it on the side when you're manipulating with the knife oriented that way. And of course, when you hit the bottom, you can really feel those spacers hit your fingers when it's coming down to that point. There's no texture on the extreme edge here. For your chaplains and stuff, it's not going to rub your fingers raw or anything like that. But just having it wrap around just that little bit when it's passing through your fingers and when you're twirling and stuff, you can still get that grip. I noticed with this knife, you can ladder aggressively with a lot of force and it will not want to leave your fingers. Some knives that are smoother in that area, like the older squids and stuff, they would want to almost leave my finger. Well, the two things fighting that are the taper in this direction, it gets fatter, and that texture, so that really helps out there. While I have it like this, you can really see the intricacy in machining. You can see how the spacer flares out over top of the handle there, and it's just small stuff like that that's just showing attention to detail in this knife, how everything lines up perfectly. When I was putting this back together, the spacer just snaps back into all the pieces. The sex bolts, T8 screws here, everything is just right on point. Alright, I'm going to close it out with just a little final thoughts thing, just where I see this knife going. The product is amazing. It's awesome. It flips super well. It's made for flippers. There's so many things that I want to check out. It's made to be tuned. From talking with him, in the future he wants to make this almost like a BMX type of thing, where you can buy your handlebars, you can buy your frame, you can buy, you know, different types of things for different preferences, different blade shapes, different weight plates, different handle frames even, which isn't available with anything right now. It would be awesome to be able to do that, and I would really love to see it happen. The thing that's keeping this knife from being, you know, popular and everybody from having one is just how to get one. They are on the pricey side. I know the base model is $700. Different things make it different price, higher than that. Different finishes, different colors, different options. You'll have to work that out with the big man to figure out what yours is going to be. And it's also a send your money in and wait a X amount of time to receive your knife. It was kind of a question mark when they would be done. I am seeing guys receive theirs now, but I know a few other guys have been waiting. So, you know, these just need to be in people's hands to really blow up like that. I wish he would do like a run type of thing. I don't know how many, 25, 50 of them, something like that, just to get them in more people's hands, because this knife is phenomenal. It needs to be out there. It needs to be enjoyed by flippers. The durability, the things like frame sliders, so you're not jacking up your handles, you're basically damaging the screws before anything else, the thickness of the blade, everything's made for flippers, so it needs to be with flippers. I know not enough guys have these. They would be super popular if it was possible for them to be super popular. Just that lead time is keeping some guys away. But if you're willing to do that, you're going to get back one of the best knives that you've ever flipped, in my opinion. I know a lot of guys who flip them feel the same way, but I know everybody's preferences are different. But in my opinion, you send your money off and this comes back to you, you're going to be ecstatic. Now, how long it takes to get back to you, I don't know. He's doing more research and development. I think what he has is great. There's a couple little changes that I talked about earlier, just widening the gap here, and maybe a different blade shape for the guys who like different blade shapes. A little washer change. That's good. Run with that. Stay with that. I see him on Instagram doing other little tweaks, stuff like that. I know it's difficult. I know he's putting a ton of work. You guys saw the inside of the handle and just how much work that takes. Just run them. Run what you got, man. Run that design that you have and just get them to people. Whether you got to do first come first serve, some kind of raffle type of deal, whatever, just get more knives out to the people. Of course, take care of who's already got their money in the hat right now, but when that's taken care of, these need to be with the people who need them. We need to get a bunch of these out into the public, because flippers deserve to have stuff like this, and this thing flips so well. I mean, it needs to be in the hands of the people to enjoy them. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys around.